Hey, hey, happy Thursday.
Hey, business accelerators, how's everyone doing? We have an incredibly special guest to bring to you tonight, Ed Troxell, who is, quite honestly, everything video, everything repurposing, make your life great. So, Ed, hey, please take it away. Give our audience a little bit something special.
Hey, thank you. Well, welcome everyone watching. I appreciate the time being here, and I love that. Make everything great. Yes, I do love to make everything great, at least as much as possible, whether it's video or just getting out there and doing your thing, both online and in person. But yeah, I'm the video guy, live video guy. I make online marketing with video simple and fun, really, because why not? Like, we're supposed to be out here doing all of the things, and we got to have some fun with it. Otherwise, it's really gonna suck.
So what do you find? You obviously deal with a lot of people, and while we don't necessarily have a fear of the camera or the fear of Zoom or the fear of video, what's the number one problem that, or I guess the number one issue, fear? What do you run into? What are people afraid of?
The first one will probably be not knowing what to say. And before they even get to that stage, probably for those who are not afraid of the camera, that would be the first thing, is what do I even say? But for those who aren't even ready to do all of that, the other one I get a lot of is, I don't have time. I don't have time to be going live. Like, I just don't have time. Those are like the two biggest ones.
Which is funny, because if you don't have time to do a 5-minute video, you certainly don't have time to do a 15-minute type it out and copy and reread and recopy and retype and all that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, that's so much more work to create a regular post, which, by the way, not to say we shouldn't be creating regular posts, but most of the algorithms, if not all of them, don't favor that. They favor the live streaming. So if the platform has live streaming option and your intent is to reach more people, then you need to start getting in front of the camera and going live.
Yeah, we find it super easy to make a live video and basically wing it. Like, we know what the topic is, we know the couple of points we're going to hit, and then we wing it. And we take it and make it into digital content, like after, with writing and everything else, because you already said it live. What do you need to say it again for?
Yeah, and that's the beauty of live video. I mean, listen, before I started my business, I was not in front of the camera. I was the guy behind it. I wanted to help everyone else do their thing in front of the camera. But when I started my business, I was like, I have to be different. I have to market myself differently. Otherwise, I'm not going to survive. Like, plain and simple. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And so I had to get good at going live. And when I say good, I mean like just at least decent, and just showing up in front of the camera, and then work your way up. And here's the thing, going live, there's so many different levels, and you can increase if you want to the various levels, but you don't have to. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to, and you can just go live, but go live with a plan, because everyone tells you to go live, which by all means, please do. But we're kind of past that phase now, and now it's the let's go live with a plan. Let's take you back a step and look at the bigger picture and see how you can effectively use this in your online marketing efforts so that you can work smarter, not harder. And that's what I work with my clients on, is taking a look at that bigger picture so that they can use it in other areas that they're showing up here online.
So if you're trying to get comfortable in the camera, what's your best suggestion? Because somebody once told me, just go live 7 days in a row. And if you delete it all afterwards, who cares? Because the point is to just go live. It doesn't matter what it looks like, because it's about getting over the fear.
Yeah, and that's something that that I definitely work on with clients in my program, where we work on an exercise to help them get comfortable in front of the camera. The 7 days is a great exercise that people can do that's live, but most of the time, if you're afraid of the camera, jumping in to do that is still hard, you know? And so really it's finding out what your comfort level is with the camera, and think about the camera, which let's just talk about the phone. Like, don't even worry about desktop. Think about the phone. It's super personal. Yes, it's a piece of technology, but how many times are you holding on to that and taking it with you, dressing it up with your cases, making sure that it's always there, and using it for every aspect of your life these days? So this is your best friend, really, and you can get comfortable by looking and talking to it without even recording. You can just start looking at it a little differently and start thinking about, okay, it's not just a device. It's not just a camera. It's so much more than that. And it's those little tweaks, those little mindset shifts that we have to do in order to be able to progress to the next stage, which then could be recording yourself, whether pre-recorded or live. But we first got to start with, it's more than just a device. It's more than just a phone, right? Like, everyone will say, you know, when the new phone comes out, it's like, why would you pay $1,000 for a phone? We're past that. It's no longer a phone. This is your life. And the camera is what helps with everything in your life, whether personal or business. So yeah, you should be upgrading that. And yeah, you're going to have to invest, which means if that's an issue, get a technology budget if you don't have one, and implement that and start dropping $10, $20, $50 every month in there so that it's not a big deal when you have to upgrade.
That's a good point. So many people get hung up on the $1,000 or whatever for the phone, but then they use the phone all day. Like, they're mobile, they're in a car, they're a realtor, they're whatever. They're not even using a computer, but yet they complain about the phone. I'm like, what is it you're touching all day? The phone.
Yeah. This is my photographer. This is my assistant. Every piece of their job is right here. And this is well worth it. That's why I upgraded finally to the new one, to the 12, because I know that I needed to have a slightly better camera, because my 7 was fine, but it was, you know, it was fine because I didn't really need the next one up. But what I wanted with this one specifically was the portrait mode on the selfie side, on the front facing, because I'm doing my camera work and I need the background to be blurred for certain things. That's the look that I like. So it's not just a phone, it's my personal assistant, it's my photographer, it's whatever I need it to be. So yeah, you have to look at your technology a little differently as well.
You know, and I think that's fantastic. And obviously the technology in today's world is phenomenal, right? We have access to so many things. I want to go back to something you said just a second ago, which is mindset.
Yes.
And so I think that the biggest hurdle that people have to get on in front of a camera, in front of a computer, get in front of their phone, is they try to be someone they're not, right? And at the end of the day, just
you are who you
are who you are, right? I mean, if you were in a room full of 10 people that you knew, you wouldn't act any differently. So I guess that it's not really a question, more of a statement that if you're in front of a camera, in front of a computer, you are who you are. Just step up and be you, because the people that are watching probably know who you are and know how you speak and what words you use. And I think that fear of,
what are people going to think of me? But that fear never goes away.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Public speaking is, if not, it's one of, if not the most thing that we fear.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that even me saying that sentence messed up, but it doesn't matter. We're live and it is what it is. Like, it's okay. I'm okay with that, you know, not coming out perfectly correct in that. And we have to understand that live broadcasting takes off so much pressure. I should back up and say, if you're working with the right people to help you with that journey, because just telling you to go live is one thing, but that doesn't remove any of the pressure. But like what I do with my clients is I work backwards. We don't even start with the tech. We start with the mindset, and we start then increasing towards the tech. And so it's all about really being able to get comfortable with the idea and then moving forward with it, and knowing that you are going to screw up. It's okay. that's the whole point of live, is that people don't want a polished look. Doesn't mean you can't have it. If that's you and that's your brand, then that's totally fine. By all means, do that. But don't put that pressure on yourself, especially when you're coming out of the gate, because it's too much. And then you're never going to go live. And then you're never going to be showing up for your audience, which that by itself is doing an injustice to everyone. Like, people are out here waiting for you to show up, and they're waiting to connect with you, and they want to see you. They want to hear you. They want to get a sense of who you really are, and not just see that Instagram perfect photo with all the 30 best hashtags. Like, they want to see you.
Like Randy's nose that won't stop running.
Yeah. Allergy attack today. 2 points. I think number one, the blooper reel, right?
Yes.
We all love the blooper reel. We get on Facebook, we get on Instagram, and we see 30 of the funniest home videos or whatever. Are those not the best? So for us, I love looking at our blooper reel because it's who we are. It's what we are. And so I guess for people that get nervous or get scared, that the public speaking, whatever, hey, we're all human. We all make mistakes. We say silly things. People on the news say incredibly ridiculous things all the time, and it's super funny and it's great. We enjoy it. So just embrace yourself, I guess, is the message there. Yeah, and that's the thing too, when you bring up the news, that we are seeing more and more now them loosen up a little bit, right? We're starting to actually see the news anchors be a little bit more themselves and a little bit less stiff and very, suit and tie and dresses. It's not all perfect anymore, because we're changing with the technology, and we're understanding that we don't really all want to see the perfect thing. We want to see the imperfects. We want to be able to know that you're going through something that I went through, or that I'm going through the same thing you're going through. Like, we want that connection piece, and that builds by far a much stronger connection and community, and helps you with your growth, both online and offline. Totally. The ability to relate with people in the public setting, whether it's the news or sports or whatever, being able to relate with someone that's on the TV screen is huge.
That's reality TV. It's Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey, the first reality TV show.
Yeah.
Made them gazillions of dollars.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is that we're living in a world where we have access to the most powerful technology ever, and we don't have to wait for Hollywood to discover us and hope that they're going to see a post from us, or that we have to have a $20,000 studio setup, probably even more than that, but random numbers there. We're able to literally go from our phone and create whatever it is we want, whether it's photos or video, and that's going to attract people. That has attracted people. And when we look at YouTube stars, I don't have any names off the top of my head, sorry, but when we look at YouTube stars, how were they discovered? Through a video that they uploaded to YouTube before live streaming. And so live streaming just helps you get there a little bit quicker. Now, I'm not saying that by going live, you're going to become the next YouTube star. You might, but that's not the expectation, especially not in the beginning. The expectation should just be, I need to show up. I need to deliver my information. Yeah, I completely agree. Number one YouTube star that I know of, just because it's sports related, is Logan Paul, is going to fight. I don't even know who the guy is, but he's going to fight Floyd Mayweather Jr. Oh, yeah. So I really don't, from a boxing standpoint, that's funny. Yeah. Number two, you talk about the fact that video is going to change things, right? It's going to evolve, and technology is out there. The reality is, we are all in a world today, obviously with the pandemic, that we have to embrace the technology. We have to embrace what's in front of us. And
while it can be potentially depressing for some people, it's an opportunity to get in front of people on a video, right? And just talk and have fun with it. And I know that you're a big proponent of repurposing, right? So I guess give us some tips or some ideas of how, when you do go live or you do make video, you do make content, how you can repurpose it into multiple different things.
Yeah, so this is something I go over in my program, Coaches Go Live, where you really want to make sure that before you hit that go live button, you are thinking about what happens afterwards. So I call this the live effect. And so before you ever even just hit that go live button, like you both were saying earlier, you know your topic and you know some of your talking points, which is great. And you don't have to be scripted. It's just talking points is great for anybody who's watching. And so once you know that, then before you hit that go live button, think about, is that something that I should be sharing elsewhere? That elsewhere is anywhere, your Instagram, your YouTube, your podcast, your email newsletter, like the sky's the limit. And that's the beauty of it. And so once you figure that part out, then you can hit that go live button, and then you're more intentional with it. And now I'm not saying that there's not those times where you get the topic, you know your talking points, and you're like, good, I'm just going to be winging this. I'm just going to go. I don't even think about what's happening after this. I'm just going to go for it. That's okay too. You can go and do that and then think about how it felt, what the reaction was, and if that's something that you would like to repurpose elsewhere. And it doesn't have to be the whole thing. So I'm just kind of planting some seeds for people so that way you can see that there are so many more possibilities. And that's what I love about the live effect, is that once you put it out there, it opens up so many doors for you, both personally and professionally, because it helps you with growing your confidence. It helps you with knowing how to speak better on camera, build up those public speaking skills, of course, and really be able to then have people tune in and see and hear you from their perspective. And people are watching, even if they don't comment, even if they don't share, they're still watching, because this is how we do our research these days. This is how we discover the next talent that we want for our podcast, or for our TV show, or for journalists to be writing about. Like, they're going to want to look you up, and if they can see a video of you, that's going to stand out so much more than just reading a perfectly crafted article about you, or your bio or whatnot. Like, all those things are great and can work in hand, but having a video is so powerful, and having one that's not scripted is even more so, because then you can see how you are and how you handle things that can come up. And if you think about that, even for 9-to-5ers, that's huge if you practice that. Even if you're like, I'm not trying to do entrepreneurship full time, like I just want to have a part-time or do my job and then maybe this side hustle. This is still a great opportunity for you to get good at that. It just came straight, that message came straight out. So I was like, I'm just going to run with it. So hopefully it made sense.
Talk about how you could use a reel along with all of your philosophy in business. Because obviously we can all make stupid reels all day long, which get a lot of views, but that doesn't necessarily get somebody buying what you're selling.
Exactly. Yeah. And that goes back to, your goals for being on social. We were mentioning this earlier about time management, right? And thinking about how are you spending your time on social media? Because oftentimes I'll hear social media is a waste of time. It's a time suck. And I'm not saying that that's not true, but I do want you to start thinking about what are you doing with that time that you're on social? Because if you're just sitting there squirreling and consuming, which is fine if you're doing market research, classify that as market research. But if you're just sitting there scrolling, and just wasting hours, then that's totally fine if that was your goal. But understand that that's more of like an entertainment thing versus market research. And not to say you can't overlap those, but you want to really find out what's your time limit, and set a timer if you need to. Like, don't just say, well, I'm just going to open the app just for a minute. I'm just going to look at this one.
Right. So I end up watching dog videos.
Yes. Yeah. And then an hour later, you're like, I just wasted an hour watching dog videos. Like, so try to be more mindful of where you're spending your time, and know that, like for instance, for TikTok, it's not like I set a rule for myself, but I've noticed, because I've been paying attention, that I don't go on there until the end of my day, because TikTok for me is probably the same comparison for people who like reality shows, trashy reality shows maybe, is that it allows me to kind of just cut loose for the day and just wind down a little bit. And it's okay if I'm just scrolling, because I'm being entertained. I'm also learning a lot on there. But I don't do it during the day or even in the morning, because I know that I will get sucked in, and I know that I'll be on there for a long time. And that's something that I've made that choice to make it more of an evening thing when I'm trying to wind things down a bit. So
or while you're eating your lunch by yourself or something stupid.
Yeah. So, you just set those limits. And, the newest one on the block right now is this Clubhouse. And Clubhouse, for those who don't know it, is a new audio only based social media app. And it's invite only. So it's not completely open yet for everyone, but you're going to find yourself spending a few hours on there. The most of the time, it's probably about 2 hours that you're spending listening to people. Hopefully not just listening, but hopefully you're engaging as well. But basically, that was a topic I was talking about earlier today with people inside of Clubhouse, is how do we manage our time better and make sure we're making the most use of it? Because again, we're business owners. We're trying to find a balance between marketing and getting conversions so that we have those sales, and also making sure that we're staying up with everything, that we're doing our work, and all these moving parts. And so again, you really have to do a time audit, I call it, for yourself. And what does your day look like, and where can you fit things in, and schedule these things, and schedule time for these things, because it's super, super important.
Yeah, I completely agree. Having a schedule, a time block, organizing yourself, and hey, if you want to spend time on TikTok or whatever it is, that's okay. Cat videos, dog videos, the cat and a cucumber.
I don't like cat videos.
You just have to schedule it and plan yourself accordingly. And I'll finish up with this, because you said something earlier that really struck a nerve. You never know who's watching a video, right? And I watched this documentary, a few months ago about Garth Brooks.
Okay.
And he happened to be, this before he was anybody famous at all. He was playing in some bar in, I don't know, Tennessee maybe.
Yeah.
Or actually he wasn't even playing yet. He was up next. And the guy in front of him was the songwriter for the song, The Dance.
Oh yeah, I've heard this story.
And I guess the point of the story is you never know who's listening. You never know who's watching, because obviously Garth Brooks turned The Dance into arguably one of the most memorable and famous and profitable songs ever. And this is some random songwriter from,
I think it was the only song that guy ever actually did a lot with. Really, he was like a one-hit wonder almost.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting that you never know who's sitting in the audience. You never know who's on the other end of a Zoom.
I thought my worst video got 3,000, or my worst reel, in my opinion, got 3,000 views, and I was like, really? This is so bad. I just kind of quit because I was like, okay, you spent too much time on it, and I just let it go. That's the one everyone likes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned there may be people that watch it, they don't comment, they don't like, they don't love, they don't do whatever,
Yeah.
but you had an impact on somebody. You don't know who that is necessarily, and it's going to come full circle. And I think that, to me, is the biggest takeaway of doing video is
Oh yeah.
you just never know who's on the other end of the screen.
It's so true. So true. And that's the thing. People will come out of the woodworks and let you know. Trust me. They'll message you privately. I've gotten texts. Like, it's very, very interesting because it will be those moments where you're like, man, I've done all of this work. And my live show when I first started was 5 days a week for like the first 9 months. And it was a talk show. And some days I was wondering if anybody was watching, and others it was like, wow, you're all spending time with me. Like, this is crazy. I would have never thought this, and then you get these messages, and then it's like, wow. And people to this day still find some of those videos because they still circulate, not just on my website, but on Facebook. And so it's a powerful tool, video, that we have available that's so easy to create now. And the live factor helps remove that polished editing, all of those things that we put in our heads that we have to have before we can share it with the world away.
So to wrap it up, we have 2 more questions, I think.
Yeah.
What are 3 ways you could go live or use live if you had never used it to get yourself started for 2021? And then tell everybody about your program.
Yeah. So when you're trying to get started with live, it's really writing them down. So don't even go with the tech. Start with pen and paper and write down what you have to offer. Not necessarily you just by yourself, but if you have a service or if you have a product, write that down. People want you to showcase something. I have one of my clients who does promotional stuff. So, you can get chapstick with your business name on there, or cups or mugs or whatever. And we started a live show with her basically being her own QVC and being able to show off the different products each week. And so that makes it fun for her as well as for those tuning in, because now they get to know her, they get to know, like, trust her, but then they also get to see products that maybe they weren't aware of or that they didn't know could be imprinted with their logo or their name or whatnot. So start looking at, what do you already have available that you've already done, whether that's a product, a service, a blog post, whatever. Look at those things and start writing those down to see if they can be videos, because chances are they can. And that's a big one, right?
Right.
And so the reason I mentioned that too is because in my programs, which is called Coaches Go Live, that is where I work with my clients through a hybrid model, one-on-one and self-pace, to learn the different stages of being able to go live. Everything from mindset to content creation to actually filming. And then we go into going live, both from the phone as well as your desktop computer. And then we cover what happens afterwards, so that repurposing part. And in this whole program, what's awesome about it is that I make it fun for you, because that's what we need to have in order to really get things moving, especially when it comes to video. And throughout that, we also frame it as a TV show. So when we're doing that content creation, it's really coming up with your first season, which is 10 episodes. So that way, when you're done with the program, you're actually going live and you have already 10 episodes laid out. So then that way you have season 1, and from there you can expand to whatever you want it to be. But it's really to get that core foundation solid and allow you to get your foot in the door and make sure to have this, and then you can go wherever you want with it.
That's fantastic. So once again, I see you have your website that you mentioned. Is that the best way for people to get in contact with you if they're interested?
Yeah, please. edtroxell.com is the website. There's a chat on there. You can hit the Start Here page, and that's got some quick links for you. At the end of the day, the best thing to do is just start up a chat or book a call with me, and we can talk about whether Coaches Go Live is a program for you, or if there's something else that I can point you in the right direction. I love being a resource, so I laid it all out there for you. Yeah, and it would be great for anybody who's thinking about live streaming. Hopefully this encouraged you a little bit more. Maybe you have been live streaming, but it hasn't really felt like a solid foundation. This is definitely something that will help with that. And it's pretty crazy how it lays everything out for you. I say it, I mean but we're working on this together. That's what I love about it, is being able to see the progress made and be able to see people go live.
Well, and I think you cover everything from, again, as you said, mindset to content to actually doing it.
Yes.
And getting
Which
over
camera
yourself.
you need, which phone you need.
And having fun with it. At the end of the day, if we take ourselves too seriously, then we're never going to have any fun anyway, right?
Exactly. And that's the thing. That's the beauty of it. And removing those layers that are weighing us down and holding us back from showing up. I always say the 3 keys to success are show up, deliver, and engage. And the best way to do that online is through live video. And you can only do that if you actually show up, deliver some information, and then your audience can actually engage with you. And hopefully you'll engage with them and have that conversation, which then leads to all of those other sales opportunities, whether it's money or speaking or guest appearances, all of that stuff.
So wrap up with, why do you want to be on YouTube versus podcasts? Because everybody's into making a podcast, obviously, because that means they don't have to get dressed and it doesn't matter what their house looks like. But tell people why YouTube or whatever you're going to use is better than a podcast.
Yeah, so you can pick your platform, of course. I specifically teach everyone starting with Facebook. And there's a reason to that. There's a whole method to the madness, because it's still the #1 platform. And you don't have to love it. It's just part of the strategy. Remember, we talked about being able to look at the bigger picture and understanding why we should be doing certain things. And so what we work on is going live from your Facebook page, but what part of that repurposing can be to your YouTube channel and or your podcast, and being able to simplify the efforts, right? Because now you don't have to do 2 different things. You can just do one thing and repurpose that. So when you're thinking about podcasting, the thing is, I don't have to get all dressed up. I don't have to do all the things. True. But if you're just podcasting and you're uploading it to a regular podcast program, that's not a social media platform. That's a whole brand new platform that now you have to try to build an audience on. And if you're uploading it to YouTube, that's great. But again, you're uploading something versus going live. So again, there's a difference between pre-recorded, which is upload, or live, which is direct.
So go live on Facebook is your advice, and then upload it to YouTube and do a podcast if you really feel like it, all out of the same video.
Yeah, and remember, you don't have to do all of these things, because I know some of you are going to be thinking, oh my goodness, I have to do all of these things and be on all these platforms at the same time and run my business. And what about time? I don't have time. So again, it's stepping back and looking at, what is your goal? Where do you want to be? Where are your audience members at? And what's going to be the best route for you for putting out content?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for this. It was awesome. I feel like we could keep talking to you for like 4 hours.
I know. No, I appreciate it. Thank you. And I hope that everyone watching, even on the replay, gets something out of this. And by all means, please reach out if you need help, and I'll point you in the right direction.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you so much. We dropped your website and the link below. And
Awesome.
if there's anything else you want to add, you can certainly drop it in the comments. And we hope our audience will reach out to you.
Thank you.
Anyway, happy holidays.
Yes. Take care, guys. Have a great weekend and holiday too.
Bye.
Thanks, Ed.
Bye.